Oh goodness, y'all. I had to restart this whole thing. I wanted to uh record outside and I have a hard time seeing out here. But I wanted to record outside because I got these new little fuzzy microphones and I wanted to see how they work. And I did this whole thing and then I realized I didn't record, so I've got to do it all over again, which is going to be very hard for me. So I was hoping that it would look very natural, because it was natural. But now I've got to kind of read it, maybe. I don't know. Well, here I am again. Let's see if I can get all set up here. What do we want to look at? Can you see? I don't even know if you can see anything in the background. All right, let's see. All right, I know I look crazy with these things. I probably need to make some sort of a necklace or something that they could like hang from. I'm trying them out today for the first time out here in the backyard. It's loud out here, and usually I can't film out here because nobody can hear me over the sound of the bridge, like the cars going over the bridge, or sometimes it's windy here because I live right on the marsh, right at that bridge. Um, and the air conditioner is running because it is hot and sticky here in the low country. So this is my second time trying to record this because I I did this whole talk a little while ago and I found out after I went inside that nothing got recorded. So I'm having to do it all over again. So I don't know if I'm going to remember everything that I said in the first take, but anywho, I hope that this works. I hope that these little fuzzy creatures, my new friends, are going to allow me to start filming outside, because I just love it out here and I want to share it with all of you. The reason I keep looking back behind me is because I think the tide might be starting to come in and that gets me so excited. I just love watching the tide come in, watching the tide go out. But anyway, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I have made like a good video, just me like kind of updating, just saying what's going on and uh all that stuff. So if you have wondered what I've been up to this summer, right now I'm scratching because I feel like I'm getting some skeeter bites. Yeah, probably am. When the tide comes in, they come in. When the tide goes out, they're still here. If you wonder what I've been up to this summer, well, apparently I have been creating an entire world for sure. I mean, it is bananas. And I'm not even sure I realized what I was doing until like this morning. I got really early and I was just like, I felt like writing. And I started working on this. I'm working on this ABC of the Ace Basin, like children's book, because that's just another thing my mind just can't stop. And so I'm like, well, go write that down. And it, Ace Basin, I see the signs all the time. And I think of Ace Hardware too. Squirrel. Um, but I'm always like, there's something to that, right? Like, what does that mean? So, yeah. So it's three rivers that connect right there and flow into St. Helena Sound. But more on that later, not in this video. Uh, anyway, that's what I was doing at 5:30 this morning. I was writing the ABCs of the Ace Basin, the children's book. I spent a lot of time this summer going back and forth between two places that I dearly love, both of them. The North Georgia mountains around Lake Burton. Our family has had a house on Murray Cove on Lake Burton since the late 60s. So I'm very fortunate to be able to go up there and cool off in the summer and then see the beautiful colors change in the fall. It's just wonderful. But then I also am back here in South Carolina in the Low Country, where I live right here in Port Royal. I live on Battery Creek. There's a tidal creek behind me that comes off of Battery Creek, and it's all salt water. It's just magical. You can hear at low tide, you hear the oysters popping and the little fiddler crabs and ghost crabs doing their thing. Hear them out there all the time, and it's just magical. And the shore birds flying over, heading over to the cypress wetlands over in town, Port Royal. They fly right over my house. It's just magical. It's just a magical place to be. So both places are just so magical for me. And somewhere along the way, I started writing about these little people. Because while I was up in at the lake, I started thinking about um, like what the lake was before it was a lake, before Georgia Power dammed up the Tallulah River and flooded the town of Burton. What was it before? So it led me to think about like the Cherokee Indians and Native American folklore. And I went down this rabbit hole and I came upon these three clans that they would talk about. And anyway, so there were three clans in the mountains, and I believe three clans here in the Low Country. I'm gonna tell you how they connect, at least in my mind, how they connect. The Laurel clan, gentle little creatures dressed in mountain laurel petals and galax leaves, glowing like warm nightlights, just like this. And then there's the Rock clan, silly, joyful little things with acorn helmets who bounce around the forest. And they blend in with the stones. You know, it's all granite up there. And they love bluegrass music, by the way. And then there's the Dogwood clan, the wise old protectors of the mountains. Then down here in the Low Country, another three clans appeared, at least in my mind. I had heard of, well, in my studies, I came across I don't know how to pronounce them really, Yay Hasuri, Yay Hasuri, Yehashuri. So there's the messy, hilarious Mud Clan who roll around and fluff mud, like right out here in my backyard, and dance sideways like crabs. And then the Tillandsia clan. They kind of hang out in this Spanish moss that's swinging in my trees here. They live among the lavas and speak in little rhyming whispers that sound like the wind. And the beautiful Siren clan. These are the ones out in the water. They're like out there in the water. Okay. Who shimmer beneath the water like sea glass in bioluminescent waves. They kind of sound like dolphins. And then there are these two elders. I thought, how cool would it be? Like, I've got in my mind, like with my children's books, I've got these three siblings, and they go back and forth just like I do from North Georgia to the Low Country. And so, in doing that, they meet. They have an elder friend in the mountains and an elder friend here in Port Royal. The elder in the mountains is Anya. She is a Cherokee elder who lives in a little cabin on Murray Cove. She's quiet and grounded and wise. She just kind of sit there and the children just come to see her, you know. And she whittles sourwood. She makes these little tiny animals. And she really loves to make them for the youngest sibling that's going to be in my book series, Lucy. So little Lucy loves to just sit there and just like wait for the next one that she's going to whittle for her. And Uncle Cuffy. So here in Port Royal, there's Uncle Cuffy. So when they're back home in Port Royal, more their full-time home, there's Uncle Cuffy. He's a Gullah Geechee elder, and he runs a little bait shack. He's saltwater, and he's laughter and movement, always repairing a net or pointing towards something happening out in that water. Look, see, kid, look, see yonder, look, see. And Anya, the Cherokee, she's like the mountain. and Uncle Cuffy is like the tide. Y'all get it? Anyway, so I kept wondering, how did these two worlds connect? And then it became so obvious to me, the water. The rain that falls in the mountains becomes creeks. The creeks, just like this creek, become rivers. You know, this Battery Creek right here, it flows into the Beaufort River. And eventually that water makes its way toward the marshes in the sea. So in my little world, the water carries messages. The Laurel clan sends hope. The Rock clan sends joy. The Dogwood clan sends wisdom and remembrance. All of them sending this down. It trickles down through the water, right? All the way from up there to down here. And when those messages reach the coast, the Mud clan, right here in my backyard, receives them through the bluff mud. The Tillandsia clan hears them whispered through the Spanish moss. And the Siren clan sings them out into the sea. Anyway, I started calling this the Great Current. I'll never forget one of the first times we took our boat out here after we moved here, that I was used to Lake Burton in North Georgia, where you can jump out. You're hot. You want to jump out in the water and cool off. You can jump out of the boat and you're going to be fine. The current's not going to really take you away. But here on these tidal creeks and rivers, you got to be careful. When you jump out of the boat, you need to hold on to a rope and make sure you have a life vest on, or at least sitting on a noodle, because you're going to drift away from the boat. The boat's going to drift away from you. It's just be ready, my friends, if you try to attempt it. So yeah, the Great Current. Sometimes Anya, the Cherokee elder, carves a tiny sour wood animal and she places it into a mountain stream. And before she lets it go, she whispers, "Find your way." She doesn't say find your way home. She says, just find your way. And somehow months later, Uncle Cuppy here, he's at his bait shop and he's like, "What? Look here, see?" He finds that little carving, that little animal that Anya carved. He doesn't ask how it got there. He knows it's a gnosis. The water brought him a story. And somewhere in the middle of creating all of this, y'all, I remembered something. Years ago, when Finn and I were newly married, we mentioned to someone that we might move to Charleston. We just thought like something was calling us there to the low country. We thought we might move to Charleston. And this person said, "No, you have no connections there." But that person was wrong. Not in a mean way at the time. Maybe we really didn't have connections here to this place, this area, this low country. But I've learned that connection isn't always something for you when you arrive. It's not always waiting for you when you arrive. Like it's not already there, I guess. It's not something that's there waiting for you. Sometimes you create it. You create the connection. Sometimes you discover it, and sometimes it was there all along. So what I said a little bit ago, that didn't make sense. Because maybe it was already here. Maybe it was already here. Maybe it's just about relationship. Maybe you just have to, you'll find it when you get there. Just find your way. Maybe I just hadn't followed the water far enough to see it, you know? And that I think is what these little stories I'm trying to tell have been trying to tell me. The mountains, they say root, right? Root, ground, root. The marsh says flow, girl, flow. And the river says, "Oh, you don't have to choose. You don't have to choose." There are going to be waterfalls. There are going to be dams built up against you. There might be rocks. You got to figure out how to get across, and there's going to be slime. You don't have to choose. You can leave one place without losing it. Bring it with you. Or let those jagged rocks leave the bad things, the trauma behind you. You can grow new roots. You can. You can follow new currents. And home, maybe home isn't something we're supposed to spend our whole lives searching for. It has taken me a long time to realize this, that I am already home and always have been. So that's what I've been up to this summer, making little clans, drawing tiny creatures, dreaming up children's books and ABC books and counting books. Oh, and I also went to Europe, but that's another whole story. Writing about mountains and marshes, elders and children, bluegrass and tides, sourwood carvings and fluff mud. And somehow, without meaning to, I think I've been writing my own way home. Or maybe just remembering that I was already home. I was already here. I was already there. I'll leave you with this. The mountains remember. There's loudness by me. The mountains remember, the marshes whisper, and the water carries every story between them. The mountains remember, the marshes whisper, and the water carries every story between them. If you listen closely, you just might hear one. I hope you all have a great day. And thank you for tuning in with my craziness. I get up at, whenever I get up and I can't sleep, I just get out my laptop and write, get out paper and draw. And I was just working on all these things. And I'm also looking into renting a space here in Beaufort so that I'll have a space to be able to have all my creative things in one space so that I'm not cluttering up my whole house because it is a mess in there, y'all. I'm glad I'm outside instead of being in there. And what do you think about these two cute things? I wore piggy tails to match. I'll see y'all next time.